So here we are looking at the ride Capo, and it's a binding we tried for a good few days and compared against some of our favorites. For example, like the Union Super Pro, which is basically Union contact with a slightly better base or slightly better foam and an ankle strap that's similar to the Union Travis Rice from 2017 or the Atlas from 2018. And we compared them to the Atlas and and to the LTD. And all in all, I think they're pretty good binding. There are a couple things that were kind of bothersome. For example, this cap strap. If you're riding, for example, the Ride 192, it has a softer side, and this pinched and the sides collapsed. When I was riding the Ride Trident, it had a harder thing going on the sides. It had a harder toe box, so it didn't pinch in. Also, the ratchets, they're just kind of a little off. They're not bad, but they're not really that good either. They don't really have that that kind of just special glide like Union and Burton do. They seem to work and they seem fine, but they just seem a little more janky, a little less well built. Now, those are kind of my two major issues. One thing that was really interesting is these are light. You think metal, you think heavy. So I put these on the scale, and I think I put them on the scale with the Union Atlas or the Union Contact Pro, but regardless of what it is, they all weighed the same. So don't really want to get into publishing binding weights and stuff like that, but unless they're really heavy or something like that, I really don't want to get too specific on that because 1 ounce might not be a difference, but they were almost exactly the same weight. I weighed them both without the base plates, the discs in the discs in the base plate. So really impressed. When I held it like this, it felt like the ride was heavier, and then you put it on the scale, they're the same damn weight. So don't worry about it. It's light, it's well done, it's all metal. One thing I forgot to mention in the review above is the footprint on the board is so much less because they're using metal. It's so compact and they don't really need much on the sides. Normally you're seeing like at least my fingers. See, I'm adding my fingers to the binding. That's about what it's like with plastic bindings and bigger base plates, like with the Unions and Burtons. They fit a little bit further out, but some can get a little even further out. So that combined with this mini disc, it's pretty much minimal when it comes to contact, which is pretty cool. I like the adjustability, and I kind of wanted to show you that with this heel loop off. You can unscrew here and adjust, and here, and adjust this according to the boot size. I wish there was an extendable footbed, so where it could go up or back, but instead it just slides. It has the screw here, and it just slides up or down. I'd love it. Like one thing I like about, let's say like the Burton Genesis and Genesis X is, you pop the top here and slide the toe ramp forward, or the Union Atlas, you pop the top and slide the toe forward, so you have kind of like same adjustability. So I would like to see that, but this is more in line with, let's say, just like the Union Contact or Union's mini disc base plates, where you're just sliding the heel loop just like this to fit a preset footbed. So at least this has some slidability where you don't have that with the Union footbed. So it's kind of in between, let's say, the Atlas and the Contact style footbed. I love that this screw doesn't come out and you can just fuck about, take these off, throw them off to the side, and not think about it. When I have the Union Atlases or the Union Force and I take the footbed off, I'm like, place it carefully in a space that nobody will touch because that screw will pop off. So I think that's really cool that they figured out a way to keep that screw in there. You know, the high back's good. It's got a little give and a good bit of twist, but you can rotate the high back if you want, and I think that's a great idea. The strap adjustability is really good. You just pop these levers and slide them accordingly. So I could easily switch back and forth with Jimbo and Zobel, who are size 11-ish. 11.5 for Zobel and 2.11, and 10.5 to 11 with Jimbo. And Jimbo's been more 11 these days. You know, this ankle strap is a little more minimal than I would expect, but I felt like it had decent support, and I didn't feel like my ankle folded over. Maybe because it's really long and it wraps around the heel really well. Also, you know, butterability. It's kind of almost right there with, let's say, Union Contacts, Union Contact Pros, maybe a touch less, but it's up on the upper tier, and I felt like there wasn't a major difference when switching out boards. I rode all the ride bindings that I was given for extended demo, the LTD and the Capo, and then compared them with Union bindings as well. And I put them on the, you know, I put them on one of my favorite boards and trusted boards, and boards I know and understand, the Oswoody. So almost all three of them, you know, all four of them buttered the board equally. This is a little better than the Atlas, maybe a touch less than the, you know, my Union Super Pro / contact style base. And I think Burton's maybe just a touch better than all of these, but it's really good. I mean, the butterability in the contact is really good, and you can see there's a nice plastic, rubbery plastic kind of base here, so it's not just metal on board, and it gives it a little give and you know, a little protection, so you're just not going to fuck up your board. These ramps come on and off real easy. So one thing I wanted to show you, I have a Union mini disc right here, and a, let me do this real quick, and I have a Ride mini disc, and I wanted to show you the difference in size. There's definitely a difference. You can see this guy's a little bigger, but not so much that it's going to affect the response. But what I do like about the Ride mini disc is your stance with adjustability, either taking the disc and putting it this way and sliding it from heel to toe, or turning it sideways, which is probably the most important, you know, getting your binding. If you get a binding that's appropriate, you get the right board that matches your boot size, most of the time you can center it up evenly if you adjust the binding correctly, you know, slide the heel loop correctly, adjust the toe ramp, that kind of thing. So you can put it this way, and then you have more stance with adjustability. You have more options with this. It's considerably bigger with the Ride versus the Union mini disc, and I think that's because this is plastic and this is metal, so maybe they needed, you know, more room for the plastic, but I don't know, maybe it could have been designed better, but it's not, this isn't really about the Union more so than the Ride, and you can see it's EST channel compatible. So all in all, I'm pretty impressed with this binding, other than the ratchets and the toe strap that can pinch with certain boots and with other boots won't. But all in all, I think you get decent shock absorption, you get good response, good butterability, good adjustability. and it seems reliable. There don't seem to be as like too many points of failure, and it seems to be engineered very well. It's light, it's doable, and I think it's a recommendable binding. I don't know if it's necessarily a good ride favorite. I didn't really get that, like, you know, when switching back and forth between my union bindings and these, I kind of favored the unions a little more, but these are really close. So I wouldn't say don't get them at all. I'd say if you have a stiff, hard toe box, then these will be fine, and I think you'll be okay with the ratchets. They're kind of like in that Solomon realm where they're good but they're not great, and they're not bad but they're not good. But I definitely prefer the Union ratchets and the Burton ratchets a lot better, which are two of our, you know, favorite companies when it comes to bindings. They just make the best. You know, no bias, no fanboy, just lots of reviews and you know, lots of testing, and just, you know, almost all their bindings come out really well. And so I think all in all, this ride Capo is very recommendable and could work for the right rider. And I think all in all, you know, here you have it under the pretty lights, just kind of like you know, a look of what this Capo is like, you know, with the shiny light and some pretty stuff going on. But all in all, you know, I had no problem riding these with the ride boards, with some of my boards, testing them with different boots. I tested them with the Tactical ADV. I tested them with the Ride 92, the Ride Trident. I tested them with some Adidas boots, some other Adidas boots like the Tenza, the Superstar, and the Samba. So I tested them with you know, tested this with a wide variety of boards and boots, and felt that they did a good job. So all in all, like the Capo.